The gall it takes to drop this movie in an election year is astonishing. Astonishing. Directed by Alex Garland, you may know him from writing 28 Days Later and the cult classic Dread. You also may know him from writing and directing Ex Machina, Annihilation, and Men.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go, 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 go! God bless America.
In the near future, a team of journalists travel from New York to Washington, D.C. to interview the President of the United States. The film documents the journalists struggling to survive during a time when the U.S. government has become a dystopian dictatorship and partisan extremist militias regularly commit war crimes. I know you can tell I love this movie. Like, I don't understand why I review films and I don't wait till the end to tell you what I think about it. I just come right out and say it. Civil War had its world premiere at the 2024 South by Southwest Film Festival to rave reviews, starring Kirsten Dunst as Lee, a renowned war photojournalist, Wagner Moda as Joel, a journalist and Lee's partner. They both work for Routers and they are documenting what's going on. We also have Kaylee Spaney as Jessie, a young photographer who accompanies Lee and Joel through their journey, and Stephen McKinley Henderson as Sammy, a former journalist for the New York Times. I haven't felt like this since I watched The Joker. When I left The Joker, I had a visceral reaction to that movie. It was very emotional for me, and the same thing happened here. When I left the theater, I was crying, I was angry, I was sad, I was scared. This movie will have you all up in your feels in ways you could not imagine. This is a film that scares you constantly. This is not a movie about hope, and this movie does not lean in any political direction, contrary to many of reviewers, In my opinion, everyone that was in the theater with me was constantly asking themselves, can this really happen? I'll give you an example. This is not a spoiler, but I will say spoilers ahead just in case. After American military are shot down and tortured by civilians, Wagner Moura's character Lee screams out, "What a rush!" And I understood that the director wanted there to be a light laughter from the audience in that moment, but my entire theater was silent. They were silent. And then about 15 minutes later, we have American military saying something to civilians, and the audience wanted to chuckle, but then immediately American military did something horrific and my audience was silent once again, and all I could think of was, wow, I've never experienced something like this in a theater where everyone is extremely tense for many reasons, and reasons that are so personal to each and every person in that room. It was very interesting to watch this in a room full of people who lean always politically, right? Oh, and another interesting thing, I watched this movie in a theater full of men. Yes, that's right. If I'm not the only girl, there were two others who were coupled up or something, but it was men all over that theater. And I can tell you the tension in there, you can hear a pin drop. It was so interesting to watch this movie in the theater like this. The journalists in the film, they are depicted as just that. They are just journalists. And I understand that people want to believe that not all journalists are like this, but there are many who are just trying to get the information of what is happening out there in the world. And mind you, this movie does not tell you why the Civil War began. We are just with these main four characters throughout the entire journey. There's a moment when Lee says that all of her work, when she's sending the pictures she captures at these wars, when she sends these pictures back home, she was sending them a warning. And while watching this film, I'm questioning myself, is this a movie or is this a warning? Let's be for real. We watched the trailers and we saw Jesse Plemons scare a lot of people when he said, "What kind of American are you?" Right? If you think it's tense, it's even more than whatever you think, and it's more horrific than anything you can imagine will happen in that scene. It is so scary and so real. This movie does not favor any political party, in my opinion. It's been really fun, though, watching all of these people who I've watched review films for so many years, who've tried to keep their political ideations hidden for so long. And now, after watching this movie, you will realize what political party they lean towards. That's been really interesting to watch happen. Wagner Moura did an interview in Brazil where he said that after watching the film, he realized that he needs to listen to whatever other side they are on, and I found that to be extremely interesting. The cinematography and choreography in this film is superb. It is as beautiful as it is haunting. There are moments and certain scenes in this film that I will never forget for the rest of my life. A warning, it is difficult to watch this film a lot of times. It was difficult. Whomever watched this film and reviewed it with a political leaning lens to either side really, in my opinion, should question themselves in what they really believe in. This movie is not only a cinematic feat, but it is a warning to the parallels between fiction and reality, what polarizing politics, what freedom of speech, and what the state of democracy really has become, or will become, or can become. It is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I watched Dune 2 and I immediately texted everyone and said, "This is the movie of the year." I lied. Civil War is the movie of the year. Thank you.